When I was 7 years old, my grandparents took me to Florida to see Disney World for the first time. It was also my first time flying, and my brother was kind enough to let me borrow his Game Boy Advance, which was a pretty rad brother move. This next part sounds like a weird fever dream, but I specifically remember going to a GameStop in that airport, which I know seems like it should be a portal to another dimension. It was 2004 and Pokémon Emerald had just come out, so when I saw it at the store and realized I could actually play it on the trip if I got it, I begged my grandparents to let me get it. They caved and got it for me, which was a pretty rad grandpa move. My earliest memory with a video game at all was fighting Wendy's Miltank in the Goldenrod City gym. I was playing on my neighbor's Game Boy Color in his backyard, and I remember all of this because it was such a damn hard fight and I couldn't even read yet. But now I was 7 years old, aka a big boy, ready to take on Pokémon Emerald. I remember booting it up after our plane took off. Professor Birch welcomed me to the world of Pokémon as I soared through the actual sky. And if that isn't the most wholesome gaming memory, I don't know what is. My first day in Florida, I couldn't stop playing. My grandparents asked me if I wanted to go to Disney World that day or later in the week. Now, physically, I was right next to the Magic Kingdom, but mentally, I was here. So I was like, let's go tomorrow. The next day, my grandfather had a medical emergency, and he had to go to the hospital. Thankfully, he was okay, but he was checked in for a few days, and so I stayed at my cousin's in Orlando for a little while. I never made it to Disney World. My only memories in Florida are swimming in my cousin's pool with his 2 golden retrievers and trying to catch actual lizards because I thought I was Brendan. The trip was kind of a mess, but those were some really formative memories for me, and Pokemon was a big part of them. Now, surprisingly, I remember a lot from that first run. I pretty much played the entire game with only a Blaziken because kid brain. Everything about the game reeled me in, from the giant legendary space dragon to the dumbass Team Aqua plot to plunge the world underwater. My favorite memories in Pokemon Emerald are of being lost. For example, when you catch the legendary Reggies, you have to solve this Braille puzzle to get to them. So my friend and I used a Braille guide to learn that you specifically need a Wailord at the top of your party, a Relicanth at the bottom, and a Pokemon that knew Dig just to access the chambers that the Reggies were in, which is just... Man, video games are pretty cool. I fell off Pokemon for a few years in middle school. I was too busy learning how to animate Flash games and running a Text Plus fan club for the band The Fray, which is not a joke. But when I figured out how to jailbreak my iPod Touch, I was hooked again. I played ROM hacks and classics like Gold and Silver. Meanwhile, the internet was also experiencing the magic that was Twitch Plays Pokemon. I jumped back into the main series with X and Y, and of course we all remember Pokemon Go, one of the last good things to happen on this planet. But here's the thing. When you get older, you lose a lot of innocence and wonder, which coincidentally are the things that you need to cherish a Pokemon game. Otherwise, you're left constantly wondering things like, do the people in the Pokeverse eat their pets? And yes, of course they do, but mainly, the games just got too easy. Sure, there are ways to combat this, like playing Pokemon with alternative rule sets, such as Nuzlocke, which involves releasing fainted Pokemon and only catching the first ones you encounter in each new route. Aside from other challenge runs, there's also the competitive scene to get into, but that's different from the single-player experience. I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and it got me wondering, is it even possible for a game to still give that childlike wonder that Pokemon did? But then I was like, oh yeah, wait, Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild changed everything in my dumb little brain. The freedom and exhilaration built into every verb of this game created an endless loop of pure joy. It never got old because each core action, running, climbing, shooting, cooking, was fun in itself. The sheer act of existing in that game just works. I could explore Hyrule for days doing 0 quests, and I wouldn't get tired because the developers of Zelda understand that magic is real, and the only prerequisite is curiosity. No game has made me feel that way since Groudon made me first piss my pants in Orlando, Florida. When Nintendo first announced in their Summer Direct of 2019 that Sword and Shield would feature a wild area with roaming Pokemon and multiple biomes, my first thought was, oh, this is Breath of the Wild Pokemon. I will take 6 copies, Captain GameStop. But it wasn't. It was more like if Link couldn't do anything but look at the view and be like, damn, I'm sure in a Zelda game. There wasn't enough to do. Sure, you could camp and cook here, but there was never much reason to. The Pokemon were good, but most of the roaming ones were too strong to catch until later, and there aren't any NPCs that you can have meaningful interactions with. I still enjoyed the game, but this left a pretty bad taste in my mouth. Flash forward to this year. Crown Tundra and Isle of Armor came out, both of which I have been waiting to try. I decided, hey, if I'm booting up a new file to tackle the DLC, why not try a whole new rule set just for myself? Something challenging but also rewarding in other ways. My goal was to create a new rule set for Pokemon that focuses on everything that makes the series wonderful to me when I was a kid. When I first played Gen 3, I was immersed in the new Pokemon and curious about what I could do with them in the world. I also had a lot of difficulty battling, so this new rule set would have to focus on capturing these feelings. So, that's exactly what I did. I present to you Pokémon, Breath of the Wobbuffet. Here's how it works. Rule number 1, permadeath. When a Pokémon faints, you must send them to a box immediately and release them as soon as you can. You can still catch as many Pokemon as you want, provided you use them only with found or gifted Pokeballs. Because rule number 2, you cannot purchase items. This does not include clothing because, of course, fashion comes first. This does include anything bought at Pokemarts, berry stores, gym shops, train stations, and other areas that sell items. Rule number 3, all my homies hate Pokémon Centers. You cannot heal your Pokemon at a Pokémon Center. This means that not only can you not heal a Pokemon that is fainted, you can't heal Pokemon in Pokemon Centers at all. This includes individuals who act as healers, such as the sisters outside Galar Mines. And that's all the rules for Breath of the Wobbuffet. While you might run into one or two other snags with this rule set, Sword and Shield is pretty well suited for it thanks to its unique features and its fast and loose XP system. Now, I played the entire game this way, so I have a lot to say about it, but I'm breaking my ideas into 3 main points. What makes this run so immersive, how it forces you to balance risk, and the fun ways you can absolutely cheese this rule set. I mentioned before that I wasn't a huge fan of the wild area due to its lack of meaningful experiences. This run changed all of that. Forced to scavenge landmarks for hidden items and raid berry trees to heal my party, I had a lot of fun in this big park. I spent more time here than ever before, suffering great losses and finding a lot of tiny victories. The Isle of Armor wild area is also worth mentioning on its own. Between the diversity of mountains, forests, and swamps, and especially the archipelago surrounding the island, you can really get lost here. There's also more NPCs that you can actually interact with, and by that I mean exploit for items and TMs. There's even a Diglett hunting minigame, which is basically a Korok seed hunt. There are 4 main things that you'll be doing a lot in the wild area to survive Breath of the Wobbuffet: looting items, catching high-level Pokemon, searching for berries, and camping. There is a glut of hidden items in the wild area, from useless treasure you won't be able to sell to ingredients for cooking. There's also the occasional TM, which you'll want to stock up on. You'll find high-level Pokemon roaming in the wild area, separating themselves from the scrubs by their powerful walks. If you have enough gym badges, you can simply catch them and replace fallen members of your team. This is one of the things that I love most about Breath of the Wobbuffet. No matter how many members of your party you permanently lose, you can always rebuild a team quickly. I did this several times. It's as chaotic and fast as it is forgiving. In addition to hidden items, there is a crazy amount of berries in the game. And I don't just mean berry trees. I mean dozens of new kinds of berries that can either be used as cooking ingredients or for battle items. You'll want to raid berry trees pretty much every time you see them. Just don't shake it more than a couple of times or you risk getting drop-kicked by a squirrel. And this brings me to my final and most important wild area activity: camping. Yes, you can camp anywhere, but the experience is closely tied to the wild area because you can stay here for hours if you aren't leaving to heal. In your camp, there's a cooking feature that heals your Pokemon's health, PP, and stats depending on the dish quality. So you never have to leave. Everything is right there for you. The ingredients, the berries, all you have to do is look around. Between cooking combinations, there are over 100 meals to create. My only complaint is that the animations get really long. By unlocking new dishes, you can visit the Camping King in the wild area to be rewarded with new toys to play with your Pokemon at camp. I did this all the time for no reason other than that the playing feature is fantastic and everyone should do it all the time. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is how the game was meant to be played. This can be an extremely frustrating run, especially before you've gotten used to exploring the game's features. Dynamax gym battles are a huge risk for your party, and it's where I lost a majority of my Pokemon. You're definitely going to want to be very strategic with how you use held items. Healing items like Leftovers and Shell Bell will become your best friend, as well as Focus Sash, which prevents one-hit KOs. The silver lining for this challenging rule set is that the wild area is full of Pokemon who you can re-level very quickly. Just be careful, I was roaming with the team in its 30s when I found a level 60 Gengar. I had no Pokédolls to escape, and I lost my Froakie, or Frogget, or whatever its name was. So save Pokédolls for when you really need them, or just walk around with a Pokemon that can always escape battles. Now you might be wondering why I called this run Breath of the Wobbuffet. Wobbuffets are usually the curse of permadeath runs, since their move Destiny Bond is usually an unavoidable one-hit KO attack that kills your Pokemon if the Wobbuffet faints. In addition, the blue bastards are impossible to escape from once your destiny is bound, so your Pokemon is usually out of luck. But since my rule set doesn't have the limitation of only catching a certain number of Pokemon, you can just catch every Wobbuffet you see, and you'll be fine. One risk that can wipe your team in most Pokemon games is running into a battle with a powerful rival when your Pokemon are already injured. Fortunately, Sword and Shield usually gives you some kind of out for these fights. By the time I got to the end of my run, I was pretty beefed up. I'm talking Scizor, I'm talking Alakazam, I'm talking the big dinosaur thing that I just got to beat the Fire Gym. I was fine against Eternatus and everybody in the championship, but Leon still wrecked me. To be honest, he's just going to be hard no matter what you do. I was lucky to make it out with my Dreadnought, and that's it. While this is a challenging run, there are a lot of features in Sword and Shield that you can exploit. I can definitely see how features just crept into this game as it developed, so I would highly suggest turning to the internet to learn about them. How do I cook Charizard-class dishes? Which Pokejobs are best? Where are the NPCs that give good TMs? These are all things that Bulbapedia knows. There is a pretty big issue with this run, and that is running out of PP. Since camping only heals power points if you cook a good meal, it can be easy to run out of your favorite moves. One solution is finding 2 solid attack TMs that your strongest Pokemon can learn, picking one move slot, and cycling between forgetting and learning each of these TMs whenever the PP for it is low. This replenishes the power points as you learn the new move. Now you also might be wondering, what can I do with watts that I earn in the wild area? Well, nothing. Actually, that's not true. I ended up spending mine on NPCs that are just like, hey, want to see a cool dog, and then they show you a Pokedex entry of a Stantler. It's completely useless, but it fills your dex and it spends your watts. Another hack, if you have Nintendo Online, is going to the wild area and talking to every player you find. Their automated reaction will be to give you some kind of ingredient, like a can of beans or whatever, so you can cook more dishes. This is essential late game when you need to heal very frequently. However, if you don't have Nintendo Online, you can still cop some free ingredients off of NPC tents. Just find a tent anywhere in the game, camp with the NPC, choose cook, and they will provide their own ingredient. You simply need to provide a berry, and bada bing, bada boom, you got sour hamburger curry. Sounds great. Another feature I used infrequently was Pokejobs. These don't count as using Pokémon Centers to heal or Pokemarts to buy anything, so I guess it can be a good way to get some XP. I just found the animations really long and tedious, so I didn't do it often. But, I mean, it's there. But my favorite tip of all is this. Step 1, go to a route with Zigzagoon. Step 2, catch 6 Zigzagoon with the pickup ability. Release the ones with Gluttony, those are garbage. Step 3, run around until the Zigzagoon pick up as many potions as you can handle. Yes, this is how you get potions in this run. I know, it's dumb, but it works. Only issue is, if you keep these trash friends long enough, you're going to end up ending battles to find a gang of Zigzagoon evolving one after the other, and you have to stop them all so that they keep pickup. And I felt like a corporate shill. I felt like big Pokemart. I felt bad, so I sent my Zigzagoons to God. This run isn't perfect. The wild area's strong Pokemon aren't balanced for it, it's too easy to farm cooking materials, and Zigzagoon evolves too fast. And yet, no run has made me feel this enamored with a Pokemon game since I rediscovered it in high school. And who knows, maybe I'll even hop back into Emerald and give this run a try there. I would recommend people try this run, but honestly what I found most fun about the process was that I was making the rules. Playing games is great, but the agencies that RPGs like Pokemon give you to play them however you want is what makes them stay special after you grow up. I know tons of people have tried the no PC rules, and maybe someone has come up with this exact rule set before me. Still, coming to it on my own was a reward in itself. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think of the Breath of the Wobbuffet run, if you've played any other run this way, or you think there are ways to build on it, or if you've created your own rule set to play with. I'd love to know about that. And please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. It helps out a lot. I probably won't be able to do these super often since it took 2 months to play and record this run, so you'll find other cool stuff on this channel in the meantime, I promise. But yeah, get out there and manipulate some raccoons.